How are we doing on formulating the bid package on the RFP? What is it? AOC's OCCM RFP 2010 BMS1?
As you know, although we were unlicensed, the IOC determined we were eligible for another 1 year's extension. The IOC extended our contract. They also put our contract out to bid to shake a taxpayer lawsuit off their tail by demonstrating they are taking action on the taxpayers' complaint. No worries, it is all window dressing and it will extend our contract with the IOC for another 10 years.
How is that?
We assisted them in developing the RFP for them in such a manner that we are the only qualified company. Since the RFP is a material misrepresentation of the so-called facts on the ground, this will likely cause any bidder opposing us to wildly overbid. Then we got the IOC to hold a kickoff meeting in Northern California. Local bidders in Southern California are less inclined to travel north when the company defined by the RFP is clearly not them.
That's a brilliant strategy. But how will we be assured of getting the contract renewed?
We have decision makers in our pocket that are untouchable. Nobody questions the judiciary. That, and our two partners also attended the kickoff meeting and are able to submit straw bids. Exemption from public contract code is a wonderful thing.
What about Assemblymember Jeff Gorel's proposal to apply public contract code to the court construction funds?
No worries there either. Jeff is being deployed to Afghanistan next month and won't be able to promote his legislation. Besides, even if it did pass and was signed by the governor this year, it wouldn't take effect until we're already into the 10-year contract.
What about those pesky reporters from News 10 San Diego? I understand they found out how we play this game by looking at our current service work orders after the Assembly Committee on Accountability and Administrative Review came down on the AOC to see if we had changed our ways and discovered we were still playing the same invoice games.
All they can prove is that we were issued a service work order for $500. Big deal. The smallest of jobs tends to come in just below that line of IOC accountability. The IOC is telling those pesky reporters they don't bother to track invoices below $500. As a result, there are plenty of $450 temperature adjustments, door hinge oilings, light bulb replacements and toilet paper holders. However, I am a little worried that the news organizations across this state are sharing information regarding our activities and that the Center for Investigative Reporting is coordinating this broad effort. Not that anyone in government is going to investigate. There is no investigative body in state government that can investigate a judicial branch contractor, and there certainly exists no one in state government to prosecute us. Besides, we have quasi-judicial immunity due to the exemptions to the public contract code.
I guess it also helps to have the AOC in our pocket and unwilling to investigate us themselves. Before 2008, the minimum value of a service work order was $2,000 and we were charging up the limits on those, until technical analyst Michael Paul started complaining and the AOC reduced the minimum value of a service work order to $500. Suckers. That, and we get to walk away from criminal charges for our unlicensed activity because the contractor's state license board won't investigate an unlicensed judicial branch contractor. Life is good, being on the right side of the bar.
Life is indeed good, being on the right side of the bar.
How about that Riverside HOJ project?
As usual, we rejected the lowest bidders to maximize our management fees. We can go bid shop our awardees afterwards to maximize profits. With all this extra scrutiny, I am not sure we will be able to milk Riverside Hall of Justice for $7.3 million like we did Larson Justice Center's $2 million project. Managing the bidding process for the IOC is a wonderful thing. Landing the deal of the decade facilities maintenance contract with a face value of over $500 million wouldn't be bad either.
Back to the public contract code Jeff Gorel proposes. I understand that the Judicial Council retorted that it has policies and procedures in place of the public contract code that was approved in 2007. Do you think this is enough to encourage our legislature to look the other way?
Few people are aware that the Office of Court Construction and Management actually consulted with us to assist them in developing those policies and procedures. We got to write our own rule book, and if you've ever taken a peek at those judicial branch policies and procedures we helped them develop, they're not policies and procedures at all. They're lofty management theories filled with the right buzzwords, and they ensure the IOC can do whatever it damn well wants.
Really? I didn't know thought.
The Judicial Council is saying now that it was not left in draft form for years, but was actually approved in 2007. Hopefully, that is enough of an argument by the Judicial Council to fend off any legislation that provides for independent oversight. Having the IOC and by logical extension of this, the Judicial Council in our pocket, maybe this will be enough to fend off legislative action regarding public contract code. Hopefully the legislature will gloss over the fact that there is no investigative report from the IOC regarding the unlicensed contractors and that there is no pending investigation. Then hopefully the legislature won't ask too many questions about our activities, having already covered them last year, like why we were awarded tens of millions in new business after they knew we had no contractor's license, or why they rewarded us with an extension.
What about the Joint Legislative Audit Committee in the legislature? I have noticed they have been particularly active as of late, investigating the AOC-CMS project and a few family courts. Is there any threat of us being caught in a JLAC audit?
This concerns me, but the IOC has been quite influential in Sacramento. I understand that the website Judicial Council Watcher is demanding a JLAC audit of all of the Office of Court Construction and Management's programs. The Service Employees International Union is also lobbying Sacramento for a JLAC audit of the IOC's Office of Court Construction and Management as well. We're just going to have to cross our fingers that does not happen, as the BS would have to employ construction fraud experts to prove anything anyways. The worst they would likely point to regardless is gross mismanagement at the IOC's Office of Court Construction and Management. Nothing criminal will ever become of it.
What about Team Jacobs? Has anyone figured out that we were running a shell company?
As you know, certain people in the IOC and on the Judicial Council have a vested interest in protecting us. Due to the wonderful social psychology of the bystander effect and a canon of judicial ethics to be quiet and not call a judicial branch crime a crime at all, it will be difficult for anyone in the judicial branch to go on record and state that what is happening is criminal. Between the social psychology of the bystander effect and the judicial canon of ethics, our indiscretions go unmentioned as possible criminal activity, save one website and a few pesky whistleblowers. The whistleblowers are being ignored. Being forced to go back to the IOC-controlled courts to seek redress, no law firm is willing to take on a case that won't pay them. While whistleblower rights were granted to court and IOC employees retroactively last year, the legislature listened to the IOC and made the courts themselves the last stop for whistleblower justice.
And given that the AOC actually defends the courts themselves from whistleblowers, it is a cozy arrangement to ensure those whistleblowers are denied justice and are ignored.
Precisely, my good man. This has been a satire representing all that is wrong with choosing judicial branch policies and procedures over public contract code, and to highlight serious deficiencies in our court facilities programs. Serious deficiencies that are bleeding the judicial branch of badly needed operating capital. It was produced by Judicial Council Watcher with the intent of calling attention to the serious nature of the allegations of several whistleblowers who have been fired and find themselves without redress. Unable to find attorneys to take on the courts or the IOC, attorneys are not stupid and plainly tell them that while they have a strong case, the cards are stacked against them, and finding impartial courts under such cozy arrangements is not possible. While any similarities to companies currently doing business with the IOC are less than coincidental, any similarities to living persons is purely coincidental.